I've now consoled into my router. For security purposes, we have different modes on the router that we can do our configurations in. There's two major modes. There's the User Executive Mode and the Privileged Executive Mode. For shortened purposes, we actually say User Exec Mode and Privileged Exec Mode. If I were to hit Enter, I am now logged in to my router. I know that I am in the User Exec Mode, which has very basic interoperability. Here I have the greater than sign. This is our prompt right here. The router is the name of our router, and the greater than sign signifies that I am in the User Exec Mode. If I were to put a question mark here, it would show me all the commands that I have at my fingertips here. And as I can see here, I have things like telnet, I've got SSH, traceroute, ping, I have on here some show commands, but this is actually a fairly short list compared to other options I have on this router. If I want to do anything greater, then I'm going to have to go into the Privileged Exec Mode. This gives me a little more control over my router, and I'm able to see a little more aspects of the router. So I'm going to do that by typing in enable. Now I know I'm in the Privileged Exec Mode because I see that the greater than sign has turned to a pound sign. The pound sign signifies I'm in the Privileged Exec Mode. If I were to see what commands I have as an option here, you can see I have a whole list of commands here, plus I need to press the space bar to give me even more commands. So we have a couple pages, almost a couple pages of commands there. You'll see a lot of the same commands that are in the User Exec Mode, such as ping, but we'll actually see a lot more while we're in this mode. Still, the Privileged Exec Mode has the capability of seeing quite a bit more about your router, but if we need to configure something, then we need to go into the configure mode. We need to first stop by the global config mode. To do that, I type in configure terminal. And now I know I'm in the global configuration mode because it says config right here. In the global configuration mode, I can make global changes to my router. If I were to do the question mark once again, you can see I've got, once again, a couple pages of commands that I can use. Now, this is just for global changes on the router. There are going to be times when I want to go and make specific changes to things like interfaces and consoles. So what I can do is I can type in interface, and then the name of my interface, such as maybe I'm looking at the fast Ethernet interface, and the interface number, and hit enter. And now I know I'm I'm actually configuring the interface because I've got this little IF afterwards. I'm just going to exit out of there, and then I'm going to go into the line console mode. And now I see a dashed line there. Or another one I can get into is if I go into the router RIP mode. And now I can configure a RIP statement into here. So these are different modes that I can go into, or rather sub-modes of the User Privileged Exec Mode. Okay, now I'm going to exit out of here, and what I can do is if I want to go back a level, you can see that I could use exit. If I use exit again at this point, it's going to log me out of the router, or I can click on disable, the opposite of enable, so disable, and I go back into the User Exec Mode. So I can either at this point in time log out or exit, and now I'm logged out of that router. And that's how to go from mode to mode within the command line interface.